Okay,
hence the
let's see.
leggings.
Okay, let's do this again. This time we're more prepared. And hopefully the camera doesn't cut off. I don't know, it cut off a minute ago. Okay. Hey guys, guess what? It's Angel. You're watching my latest video. And I get to make this video with my friend Megan. And we are bipolar friends. We talk to each other when we're having a hard time. And I miss her because I moved away. And I'm totally out of state. But anyway, I'm here to visit family and we got to meet and we're doing an impromptu kind of video. So I apologize for the lighting and the bland background, but anyway.
But it's so good to have you here.
I know, right?
It's so good.
I know. So yeah, you're a huge, I feel like a support, you know, like when I'm having a hard time, I feel like you're a great person to text.
How many bipolar people with bipolar do we have to talk to? Yeah, it's
Exactly.
You're one of what, like my 4 people?
Yeah, if you have a bipolar support group in your area, I really encourage you to go and utilize that resource. That's where we met, and like it's like friends for life. So, okay, let's get into this. We wrote some questions down so that we don't so that we can make it through the brain fog and get this video done. So, and we're both on camera this time. I don't know if you've watched our previous videos, but I did have a request from one of the viewers that we do another video and that we both be on camera. So we're like kind of scrunched in here, but it's gonna work. So, okay, the first question we have is about stigma. And how long did it take you after you got your diagnosis to be brave enough to come out and tell people?
So the first diagnosis I got was depression, which is a lot more common even though you feel completely alone when you have depression. So I told a couple friends that lived really close and they were really good friends and just totally accepted and loved me the same. I told my mom, she didn't really believe it because she's worked as a nurse in psychiatric wards and said, you don't look like people with depression. So I started on medication
You don't
anyway.
look crazy?
Yeah. She meant well, but it ended up being explained later by the bipolar. Anyway, then I started medication, which was a tough one because my family of origin didn't really do medication, so I felt a lot of stigma there.
Homeopathic, you said, right? Your family is homeopathic.
Yeah, crunchy granola, and they're really good people. Unfortunately, bipolar does not get fixed by essential oils.
Yeah.
So.
And it's non-curable.
Right.
Yeah.
So that, when I got my bipolar diagnosis, that was only 2 years ago. And I was so used to talking about depression and anxiety for 7 years that it wasn't really a big deal for me to make the transition. But I've been at this a lot longer than most of my peers.
Longer than me. Yeah.
So I've had a little more time to acclimatize to it and feel like, okay, like this is something I deal with and that's just the truth. So
yeah. For me, honestly, it took me 2 to 2.5 years to come out. Like I told my husband to come out. That sounds like I'm coming out. But to come out with the diagnosis of bipolar, I told my husband, I told my son, I told my mom, and one good friend, and that was it. And the only reason I told my good friend is because we hang out a lot, and the medications that I'd been put on were making me kind of zombie-like, and I felt like she probably needed an explanation for that, and I just wasn't myself. And then as far as other people, like just in general, it took me at least 2 to 2.5 years. Because when I got my diagnosis and we talked about this, so she said, okay, you have bipolar 2. And the next thing she said was, don't tell anybody because you'll probably lose friends, people won't understand, people will be afraid of you, like all of these things. And so I went home and I just was like, I can't even explain the mood I was in. I felt like a tainted person, like I don't know. It was really hard for me.
Well, your psychiatrist herself is isolating you.
Right.
That's like one of the worst things to do
Exactly.
when you are struggling with this. Yeah.
Yeah, so, don't always listen to what your doctors tell you. I mean, do what you feel you're comfortable with. But definitely, like for me, I wanted as much education about it as possible. So I immediately went home and got on my computer, I got on YouTube, I read articles, because it was comforting to me to know that I wasn't the only one out there that was dealing with this.
Yeah.
I wasn't like, the scarlet letter girl. So, yeah. And so the next question is, how do we deal with the stigma of mental illness? Like, what are we doing, or what have we done in the past that that we can contribute to breaking down that stigma?
So one thing I do is try to be normal and functional.
Normal. Yeah.
When I interact with people, so that we can have like normal interactions. So to me that's important, because then the people that are around me know that bipolar doesn't mean crazy. So like I feel like I'm breaking stigma of bipolar by being nice and reasonable.
And you're pretty vocal about it.
Yeah, I talk about it a lot, because to me that's a good thing to associate. Oh, look, a nice normal person there, but they have bipolar. Well, this isn't that scary, or they're not crazy. But the problem, on the other hand, is I have a hard time showing what's actually going on, even with the people that really care, because I naturally kind of act as normal as I can. I can't even shut it off at this point.
I feel like we put on the mask, or we put on the facade, and we hide inside of us all of the negative and horrible things that come along with the illness. For me, I feel like I hide it because I'm used to carrying that weight, so I feel like I can carry it, but I don't want to give any of that to anyone else, because I know what the weight feels like, and I wouldn't want to give it to somebody.
That's right, or make them worry because you can't leave the bed all day,
or that they don't understand that you can't leave the bed all day.
Yeah,
it's really hard to understand someone if you've never experienced what they experience. And I feel like mental illness is really hard to explain to people, because you don't have outside signs or symptoms. Like you do, you look like a normal person when you go outside, but you're in your mind, you're not that normal person. I'm not trying to say that you should be scared about somebody, but you can't look at, I guess what I'm trying to say is, you can't look at somebody and be like, oh, they suffer from mental illness.
Yeah.
So that's the hard thing, is people say things that are hurtful, and they're not meaning to be hurtful. They just don't know, that whatever it is that they're talking about that's negative about mental illness, they don't know that they're talking about you.
So I'm 10 years into this. I don't associate with anyone like that anymore. Really, pretty much all the people I have around me are understanding and loving.
Yeah.
Because everybody else is gone. Either I stopped talking to them, or they stopped talking to me. And it's really a good thing.
Yeah, boundaries are great, definitely.
Yeah. And yet we spend time inside with where we can't leave the house, even though we look fine on the outside. So I don't know about my feelings with reducing stigma. I guess I'm glad that I'm doing it the way I am, but it's complicated.
Yeah. Well, and because Meagan is so open about it, she inspired me, or gave me the courage to talk more about it in the open. And we both are of the same faith, and we practice religiously. So we not only see people on Sunday, but we also have a women's organization that meets once a month. And I happened to be at that meeting, and I was asked to talk about an article. I guess you would call it an article if you're not of our faith, but to read an article and then talk about how it made you feel or whatever. And I can't even remember because honestly I do have brain fog like 24/7. So I can't really remember the correlation between the article and what I responded like. But basically I responded by saying, you know, you never know what's going on inside of a person. You can't judge, and you have to be careful what you say, because what you say may be hurtful to someone else. And so then it led to me saying to them, you know, I suffer from a severe mental illness. And when people say things in a negative way about my illness, like, oh, that girl is crazy, or, oh, you gotta be careful around that person because they are bipolar. Like, they have no idea how, this is what I said to them, they have no idea how hard it is every day for me to just be. To just be a person, to just function as a person is a daily struggle, and I never know what mood I'm gonna wake up in.
Yes.
And if I'm gonna be able to get out of bed.
Right.
You know?
Keep commitments that you made 3 months ago.
Right, right. So they just don't understand, and so I do try to educate them a little bit more by telling them, you know, some of the signs or symptoms or whatever. And that's kind of how I deal with the stigma is, and I post things on Facebook, articles that come up about bipolar, or anything that I think would help people better understand about
So you're
bipolar.
sharing knowledge. That's
That's kind of how, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I would say. Thanks for summing that up.
I'm trying to sum up what mine was, but I can't think.
It's
clearly
hard,
enough.
right? It's hard. Okay, so Meagan found, and I've seen articles like this before, but she found a, I don't know, is it an article that you found or from a blog or something about, it's titled the 12 things not to say to people with bipolar, is that right?
12 things you should never say to
To
someone,
someone with bipolar
Yeah.
disorder, okay.
And there were a few of these that I felt were especially
That you related to.
awesome.
Yeah.
The first is when people say, "Oh, I have mood swings too. Yeah, that's really rough, especially around that time of the month. I just get
Oh, man.
kind of angry, and I just can't. I get it. I get what you're going through."
Yeah, I understand. I had a bad day yesterday. You know? And this is what I said last time, is that, you know, when people say, oh, I had a bad week, or oh, I had a bad day, and I'll be like, dude, you don't even know, like, I've had a bad week or a bad day for 1.5 years. You know, like, I've been irritable for 1.5 years. Like, and, you know, but what are you going to really say that to somebody? Because then,
No,
you know, then they would feel horrible.
I just walk away and feel isolated and disconnected from the people around me.
Yeah,
That's what happens
yeah,
when they say stuff like that to me.
yeah.
Okay. Which one is the next one? Oh, you're just overreacting. Like, our feelings are just too big because we won't calm ourselves down.
Or we're over dramatic. Have you ever heard that one?
Mhm.
I have heard that one, and the reason that I heard it is, so unfortunately, because I'm really irritable, like, I would never, like, hurt someone. I would never, like, get a weapon and hurt someone. That's just not me. But if somebody ticks me off, I go from 0 to 60 like that. And it's generally on people that I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yes. Like, I had an incident when we lived in Layton, where this guy came in, and one of the rules of the community that we were in is that dogs were not to be off leash. Like, if you had your dog outside, the dog had to be on leash. And there's this guy there, and every time he took his dog out, he didn't have a leash on. Well, the problem with that was my dog was very undog friendly. She wanted to attack any other dog that she saw. And so we had her on leash, but she was very hard to manage. And so it ticked me off because I thought, if your dog comes over here to mess with my dog, like, even just to, like, sniff around my dog, like, my dog is gonna attack, and then we're gonna have an issue, you know? And so it really, really ticked me off. And so this is what happened. I saw him come in, he brings his dog out of his truck, it's not on leash, and I saw him from my window, and I go outside and confront him. And this is a big guy, and I was like, hey, yes! Because in that moment, like, I'm not thinking, like, this guy could, like, totally, like, kill me, you know? And so I go out there and I'm like, hey, why is your dog off the leash? Your dog is supposed to be on leash. And he's like, I can't remember what he said to me, but I was like, we're gonna have a problem. If my dog comes out here and goes to attack your dog's bigger than my dog, we're gonna have an issue, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I won't go into everything. He did tell me to F off, but.
So your anger was bigger than your ability to, like,
yeah,
your impulse control?
Right, because in your mind, like, when I get in that situation, I'm not even thinking, like, I'm a 5'4" female. Like, that guy could totally come over here and just, you know. And I've had a couple of situations like that where I just have gone off on a total complete stranger.
So I just asked my therapist 2 days ago about something, and I said, like, do you think I'm overreacting? Is this like, do you want me to stop talking about this because you don't, like, you dislike, I guess, that I'm overreacting? And he said, well, I think about 60% of what I deal with here in my office is overreacting, so.
I would totally agree with that. That's the whole purpose of going to see someone. You know what?
Yeah.
You know,
well,
counselor, psychiatrist, whatever.
That's what he said, but. Yeah, so anyway, sometimes there's a little bit of truth in this one.
Exactly, but a lot of times it is hurtful. Okay,
Yeah.
Sorry, I went on a tangent.
Oh no, did I go back? Oh, forward. Okay, never mind, here we go.
So we're still on the 12 things not to say.
There's just one more.
Okay.
One more of the 12. Oh, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Which I get so mad at.
Yeah.
When people are like, oh, there's meaning in your bipolar, and I'm like suicidal trying to just stay alive every day,
Yeah.
and they're like, it's gonna make you a better person. You're just so strong for fighting it. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't care.
Right.
Do not tell me that.
Yeah.
Not worth it.
It's almost like they're saying, be grateful that you have bipolar because with this illness, you're going to become a stronger person.
Yeah, can't you be a little bit grateful? I mean, there is a positive
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Look on the bright
No.
side.
No, there's no.
Look on the bright side. Oh, wow. Okay. A
So,
lot of times with me, there's no bright side. So it's hard to look on it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you, Angel.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, we can keep going. But those three things.
Yeah, and there's more. There's 12, right? But those were the three that really jumped out to you.
Yeah,
So.
to me, from what I've.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about CBT and DBT. And Megan knows more about it than I do. I have had both CBT and right now I'm doing DBT. The CBT was not helpful for me, but the DBT I'm finding that I really am liking and it's very, very helpful. So can you maybe explain the difference of the two or what
Yeah.
you think about CBT and DBT?
So I've had, I think, about 10 years of therapy now, which is a large chunk of my 27-year-old
Like,
life.
give me a gold star. You know?
And sometimes it feels like a gold
Yeah.
star. Look how crazy I am.
Yeah, but I'm stronger.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't forget that part.
Oh man, okay.
So CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, is essentially, they say, there's a trigger, you have a thought, and then you have a feeling. If you want to change how you're feeling, you need to intervene with the thought. So if you, like when people talk about thinking errors, like catastrophizing. So something happens, you react and think, oh my gosh, it's the end of this relationship. And then you start feeling hopeless. Then they say we need to correct the thought and say, wow, that really hurt. I think I should probably talk to them about that. And then you don't get upset. So that's like the general simple idea.
Yeah.
And dialectical behavior therapy does not say that. It's all about coping with intense emotions. So for people with bipolar, it's usually really good because we've got some intense emotions.
Yeah, like most days are pretty intense.
Yeah. Like on a daily basis.
You're on the edge.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love DBT. It's my favorite therapy I've ever done. I can list off the top of my head because it's amazing. So one thing I like about it also is DBT doesn't say there has to be a thought before a feeling, because sometimes, which I tried to tell my therapist, like 8 years ago, I was like, no, sometimes it just happens, like something happens and I'm all of a sudden like so depressed. And they were like, no, there's a thought in between there. But DBT has said that sometimes if the reaction happens over and over enough, then it's event feeling. There's no thought left because it just goes. Anyway, I love it so much. It's kept me alive so many times.
Yeah, DBT, I'm very, it gives me hope because I see the results and they're positive results. And mine, I have a psychologist, psychologist / counselor, whatever you would say. But he does DBT. He also does a form of hypnosis where you're not completely out, you're aware of your surroundings, but it's very, very relaxing. He takes you through this whole scenario where you deal with your energy, and by the time you're done, by the time I'm done, I'm so relaxed, and I don't have as much anxiety as I had before. But not just that, when I talk about situations, he will basically respond in a way that he will say, well, this is why you're reacting this way because of this that happened. And your reaction leads this other person to react in their own certain way. He tries to explain things, and I don't know, it's very, very helpful. It's probably my favorite therapy that I've had. He does do EMDR. The problem with EMDR, though, is it can be very, very helpful, but it can also be hurtful, because in an EMDR, you have to go back to that time of trauma and remember as much as you can, so like sights, smells, feelings, all of that. So you bring that all up, and then it's a series of motions where you follow fingers back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And basically what I've been told is it's kind of like a computer where you're closing down windows, and so the back and forth kind of clears that memory from your brain. And you still can see that memory, but if you're responding to EMDR, the emotions of that memory are sort of taken away. So they use it a lot for people that suffer with PTSD.
So I've done EMDR also, and for one thing, it was incredible. Changed my life. The trauma response is basically calm.
Yeah.
But for another thing, it was really causing big issues. So my therapist, I asked him about it. He says he's usually hesitant to use it on people with bipolar because it can trigger swings. Because it's it's so involved and intense and all that.
Yeah, because you have to bring all that up, and it brings back those triggers, and it brings back everything, and it's really difficult when you're dealing with a PTSD situation, which I do deal with. Okay, so
therapy's so great.
Do DBT, especially if you're not responding to CBT. Request that you do DBT, and not everybody does it, so you might actually have to change counselors or whatever. So, okay, so gosh, we're going on 24 minutes. So, I wanted to talk about resources, and basically resources that are available to everyone, and they're on the computer. So what I'm going to do, instead of talking about those, just because the video is going long, is I'm going to put all of the resources down below in the description box. If you're new to using YouTube, the description box is right down below the video. It gives you the title of the video, and then in the upper right hand corner, there's a little triangle. If you click on that, it will drop down a box that will give you all of the information you need to know and links. Okay, so let's talk about meds.
Where do we begin?
I know, right? So my counselor, he looked at my med list, and he was like, yeah, you can open a pharmacy. That's pretty much what he said, And I was like, you're right. You haven't seen my nightstand. you pull out the drawer and it's just pills.
Yeah, well, and you have really bad, I mean, your medication response
I'm on
is-
quite a bit, but you are now on,
I'm on 4 now.
yeah. So do you want to talk about those?
Well, so my med history, I have a like a spreadsheet that I keep of all my medications and the changes. So with all my medications and the changes included like at least 100 rows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, right now I'm taking lithium, which I think is helping to reduce the extremes of what I'm feeling. But it has some significant side effects. I'm shaky, which you can't see on the video, but sometimes I shake so bad, like I can't write. It won't form letters because my hand's just moving so.
Or
so
put on makeup is hard.
Yep. Putting on makeup, holding a spoon. So it makes me feel like an old lady, and that's really sad. Like I just feel sad every time I notice it. And the brain fog is constant. I just can't think.
Like I used to be so sharp, literally.
Right.
And it could have been like hypomania where I thought I was super smart, but really, I really feel like I was so smart and so creative before the meds, and the meds have removed that, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, we talk about side effects and benefits and, you know, so.
Right, so overall, I mean, we're taking them because we think that the benefits outweigh the side effects, but my other medication, Lamictal, I don't think that one's having any side effects. Another medication I'm taking is Seroquel extended release, which is incredible.
It is.
It's like my miracle.
It is
miracle
miracle.
drug. I never thought I would, so it's taken a long time to get to it, but it's amazing for me.
Yeah.
And then now I'm taking Wellbutrin also. I started that like a month ago
Okay.
to hopefully help with any depressions that are coming. So that's what I'm doing. But the side effects, really the ones I notice are from the lithium and tiredness. The Seroquel extended release, every single day between 11 and 1, this tiredness hits. Like if I don't get in bed within like a half hour, I fall over.
Yeah.
I get so tired. I have to take a nap every single day.
Yeah.
And I've told people that and they're like, oh, I'd love to take a nap every single day. And I'm like, do you have any idea how stressed I feel on a regular basis about all the things that I need to accomplish to maintain my home and mental health? Like, I do not have time to spend an hour or 2 hours a day napping.
Well, and I feel, and maybe you feel like this too, because I've heard that. Oh, I wish I could take a nap every day.
Yeah, I wish I could sleep
Like,
for 11 hours every night.
Basically, it makes me feel like they're saying, oh, you're lazy. I wish I could be lazy.
Yeah, your life is so easy. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. Yeah. It must be nice to take a nap every day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And that goes back to like people saying things they don't know is hurtful, but yeah. So,
And then SSRIs, one last thing. I was taking SSRIs this spring because I was getting suicidal and my psychiatrist was concerned. And she said, I just don't know what else to do. Like, this isn't going away, it's really severe. So anyway, she put me on an SSRI, which is generally not good with bipolar. And it was a disaster.
yeah.
Like, horrible side effects of every kind.
Yeah. And it comes right away.
Yeah, and after like 2 weeks, I was like, I had forgotten SSRIs were like this. I was doing this in college. Like, I've been off them long enough. Like, now I'm on mood stabilizers. They work so much better for my chemistry.
Yeah.
And I'm still livid that I allowed myself to take SSRIs for 3 months because I will never do that again.
Yeah. It's hard though, because sometimes your doctor like really does like influence what you should take, almost like they talk you into it. Like, well, maybe you were just on the wrong dose of that med. And so then you think, oh, okay, well, you know, I'll try it. Like I had my current psychiatrist, because I literally have just come out of a 1.5 year long depression. And it was very difficult, not just on me, but on my family as well. And so my psychiatrist was like, not knowing what else he could do for me, he was trying to get me to do ECT, which is the electroconvulsive therapy. And he was trying to convince me to go back on lithium, which lithium for me increased my suicidal thoughts. And so I was trying to tell him, lithium is not good for me. But he kept saying, well, you know, maybe you weren't at the right dose, blah, blah, blah. And ultimately, I did not go back on it, and I'm really glad that I didn't go back on it. Sorry, guys. My camera turned off because it's like doesn't want to film a forever long video. Okay, so okay, so we're gonna close. I'll talk about my meds, and then, like I said, I'll put resources down below so you have those. So my meds, I have been on Seroquel 400 milligrams at night, Lamictal 100 milligrams in the morning. I take 800 milligrams of gabapentin 4 times a day. I have to take a sleep aid because I can't go to sleep, so I take Ambien. And I also take trazodone on top of that in case the Ambien does not help. And I have the same side effects as you. I have the shakiness, I have the brain fog. I've gained 40 pounds.
I've gained 40 pounds.
And I'm not using meds as a explanation, or as a crutch, I guess. I mean, the meds literally cause weight gain. And my psychiatrist has said that, like, okay, you have a choice. You can go off the meds and lose weight, or you can stay on the meds and be stable.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's not a hard choice to make, really, because
I think it's a hard choice. I've been having a hard time with that choice.
Yeah.
I am not, this is the highest weight I've ever been in my life.
Oh, me too.
And I am so unhappy with it.
Yeah. It's not good. It's not good for, I mean, we already deal with depression.
But don't go off your medication.
Yeah.
Don't listen to us.
Yeah.
Don't go off.
We're not here to give medical advice. We're just here to talk about our experience and hopefully, you know, reach out to somebody out there that's also experiencing it. You're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the big thing I would say.
And this is why you should get other bipolar friends.
A support
Because
group.
we can sit here and say, oh my gosh, the weight gain, the hand shaking, the brain fog.
Yeah. And we can talk about meds
Mhm.
because we both kind of had an experience with a lot of different meds. And so we could talk about, you know, how we were affected or whatever.
Mhm.
But anyway, okay, so we're gonna wrap this video up. I hope that you're still watching it because you may have gotten like tired and been like, oh my gosh, how long are they gonna talk?
It's just my mom, probably.
So anyway, we're gonna close it out, but I'm so glad we were able to make this video, and now that we're done, hopefully we can visit for just a few before you have to go home. And hopefully this video was helpful to someone out there. I hope it was. I hope you guys have a great day. I always close this way. I hope you have a great week, and until we talk again, bye.